What is up, everybody? Yes, my hands are doing the same thing I do each and every week because you are here watching Rugby Sense with GIftTime and Flynn, where we take 5 minutes to talk about rugby news and information here in the United States. Throw that entertainment in there.
Hello. We're back again. Another beautiful, beautiful week of Rugby Sense. We're talking D1 College Playoffs. We're talking Singapore. We're talking Langford 7th. And of course, got to catch up on the first weekend of Pro Rugby. You weren't expecting that, were you, Gift? What's going on, my man?
Look, you know what? It's going great. It's going great. Surprises coming out from all around. I loved it. Man, this was a good weekend. It was a good weekend, dude. This was a really fucking busy weekend of rugby.
Yeah, rugby-wise was insane.
Holy crap. Like, it was on all levels, man. I'm just like, bro, I don't even know where to
not
go.
just pro rugby. I mean, college was bumping, and both the national teams playing sevens too. It was crazy.
Right? So, I mean, look, I'm ready to just get this kicked off, started,
Let's
because we got a lot to talk about here. Let's kick off first game of the week. Hold on. Boom. All right. First thing of the week, dude. Let's just kick off with college rugby. Man, we had the Varsity Cup. We had D1A. We had D1 2A to some small extent. And then next week, kicking off, is Elite Women's D1, Women's D2, the next round of Varsity Cup, the next round of D1A. But you know what? We're going to focus just on this week. Dude, let's kick off the first 5 minutes. Dude, let's kick off with Varsity Cup. My God, it was another one of those. Varsity Cup, yeah, I mean, look, Elite 8 featuring BYU against Dartmouth, Arkansas State against Navy, Cal versus Army, and Central Washington University against Utah, man. Let's put 5 minutes on the clock. Well, let's go down all of them. To get D1A, we had Lindenwood versus... Why do I have Lindenwood versus... versus Wheeling Jesuit, Arizona versus LSU, Davenport versus San Diego State, and Air Force versus Cal Poly. So, dude, let's put 5 minutes on the board. Dude, Ryan, man, what's your thoughts going on with this?
Yeah, I mean, jumping off of that, Lindenwood coming in hot with the big blowout. Just a monster game, and that's exactly what I suspected. I mean, Wheeling Jesuit's still kind of an up-and-coming program in the D1, so I wasn't expecting much out of that, but LU giving them the business. I told you what Arizona was going to do, and you didn't. I understand you've been playing longer than me, and you've been doing this longer than me, but I said Arizona was going to blow them out. And granted, it wasn't like a Lindenwood blowout, but 20 points in a rugby game is still pretty significant. Excuse me. And here you're going like, oh no, 30 to 10. Thank you. And then Davenport coming in hot too. Pretty close game with San Diego State. Probably the closer game of the playoffs. 43-31. And then Cal Poly and Air Force, they had to reschedule, but it looks like Air Force is in it now. They're going to be playing St. Mary's. So moving on, we're going to have Life versus Davenport, which, I mean, personally, I think Life is going to kind of take care of business there. Davenport's still a pretty strong team, but it's Life. I mean, it's Life, man. And then Indiana's playing Lindenwood. Indiana's been my dark horse team in these playoffs. I've really been believing them, but, when it comes to Lindenwood, sometimes just...
You gotta have a little. You gotta give a little bit, man. You gotta make sure you give a little bit.
Yeah. Then moving on, St. Mary's is going to play Air Force. I think that's going to be a nice, easy win for St. Mary's. Air Force, I don't think will give much of a game. And then Utah and Arizona, I think is going to be a great game, great matchup. But my pick, I think AZ is going to grind it out.
And look, I mean, okay. You know what? First off, with Arizona LSU, all right.
Oh,
like that. It was a well matched game. It just I feel. I feel you know what, LSU just got a little overwhelmed. All right,
17 penalties is a well-matched game.
You know what? Look, they got a little. See, you get nervous. This is their first year in D1A, and honestly, Arizona played a really great game. They played a really complete game, so I'm giving them all the credit in the world. They were awesome to watch. You definitely could see the experience because they last year they actually had missed the playoffs. And so you can see they were hungry for a minute. They were D1 2A semifinalists 2 years ago, losing to UCF. Didn't make it last year, so they're trying to make it back. They're going to be playing Utah again, so this is going to be their second time playing Utah. Last time they lost 39-31 to Utah, so I expect good things from them in that one. And Utah is going to be exhausted because they're playing the Varsity Cup and they're going to be playing the D1A playoffs. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. So then add that, we got Lindenwood versus Wheeling Jesuit. Yeah, like you said, this was Lindenwood. When Lindenwood wants to play full force, Lindenwood played full force, and Wheeling Jesuit is not ready. They're not there yet. They're, like you said, still up and coming team.
They have the potential, but they're not for another couple of years.
Right, not for another couple of years. They still need to rock it up in Detroit. Make sure they can get themselves a little bit tighter. And then Davenport over San Diego State. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little surprised about this one. I saw Davenport play. I've seen their schedule. I think they've always been a tough team. They look like a tough team. They play like a tough team, but I didn't think they were one that would get it over the hump. But to see them win 43-31, they definitely proved where their place was at. They were third seed overall. They were sixth overall in the rankings. I literally just did not think they were as good as what was advertised just because of the games they played, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that they play against Life in Lindenwood on a regular basis, which goes back to them playing Life University next week. This is going to be the third time they played. Life University has blown them out all 2 times prior. I don't think they've beaten Life University in any of the times they've played them. And then add to the factor that, oh my God, it's at home at Life. Like, no, you're pretty much screwed. And then St. Mary's over Air Force is going to be an obvious one. Air Force getting the knock-in because their weather was in their favor. And Cal Poly, who I actually think was probably going to end up beating Air Force, just didn't get a chance. With Varsity Cup, blowout Central, except for Arkansas State over Navy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a blowout. So we get the Final Four that we talked about originally. Even though I had hoped Clemson was there, my brain kind of felt like Arkansas State was going to be there. So BYU, Arkansas State, and Central Washington versus Cal. It's pretty much coming down to what I expected. This is going to be where it all comes down at the end.
Definitely. I mean, for me, 3 of the 4 teams that I thought were going to be in the semis are in the semis, and that's in BYU, A-State, and Cal. You were completely right with Central Washington being the dark horse. I personally did not expect them to come this far. Good for them, right on. But I think that road's about to diminish, as I think Cal's going to kind of come over Central Washington. But, BYU's been blowing out teams, and A-State's been grinding it out. But I think people are going to sleep on Arkansas State too much in this BYU game. Do I think BYU can beat them? Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Arkansas State pull off a major upset in this playoff.
Man, I could see that. I'm going to throw some bonus time on the clock, put in an extra 2 minutes, because I wanted to just go over the D1A playoffs. These damn cats. I wanted to go over the D1A, the women's D1 Elite playoffs going into next week, into this weekend, happening this weekend. Penn State versus Indiana, Lindenwood versus Life University, a rematch, Central Washington versus University of New Mexico, and BYU versus Stanford. All these women, great teams, but I'm going to just straight up say this, all right? It's going to end up being Penn State, the Life University Lindenwood game is going to be a toss. That is honestly the only game that I see that has the most even matchup, because Central Washington and University of New Mexico, Central Washington has been down that field. Central Washington is going to blow out University of New Mexico. And then BYU versus Stanford. BYU is still a team I don't fully understand why they're in the Elite D1. I've seen them play a little bit. I saw what they did last year. I thought they were a good D1 team. I didn't think they were an Elite D1 team. But I look for Stanford to probably take that one. Even though Stanford's a little weaker this year, I look for Stanford to take that one. And I want to give a little props out to Tulane for the D2 women's D2 Final Four. Humboldt versus South California and Salisbury versus Tulane. Tulane, I hope they win. This is going to be their first appearance. But Salisbury is actually pretty experienced. They have been in the Final Four the last 2 years, even though they haven't advanced past that mark. And I think experience might end up playing it, but I do hope in my heart Tulane takes that one. And also, whenever you talk about BYU versus Arkansas State, I want Arkansas State to win, but you're in BYU's backyard. That kind of takes a lot away from you.
Yeah, I mean, home field advantage is always big, but I mean, kind of touching the women's D1 elite. I mean, going through Penn State's schedule, they've only lost one game, and that's to the DC Furies, who play in the women's premiership.
Right.
And it was a pretty the score was pretty close. So Penn State's always an impressive team. And I completely agree about Life versus Lindenwood. Life has been winning like crazy, and their only loss came in the fall to Lindenwood, which was a 25-14, a very close game, not a blowout. So that's probably out of all these games, I'm probably the most excited to see women's Life versus Lindenwood women. I think that's gonna be a hell of a game.
Yeah, no, I oh my God, I wish I could be there to be able to broadcast that game, because that one is easily one of the most exciting games to be able to do. So, but if I have to put something on it, man, it's hard, because both of these are my teams. These are two of my favorite teams. I don't know what to say. So, no, in my heart, I love them both. But I'm going to end up leaning on Life University in this situation, just because the history has leaned towards Life. Rosalind Chow coaches an amazing team for Life University. These women are intense. They are Eagles to be coming out of there. That being said, Lindenwood is tough as any. Billy Nicholas has coached the hell out of those girls. Probably one of the most intense coaches I've ever watched coach. But literally, I think it's just going to come to experience in this one. Mm-hmm. My heart goes for both teams, and mine is going to lean towards Life University just because of home field advantage. But aside from that, dude, I got nothing. All right, man, let's move on to the next thing. We got Singapore Sevens, USA. It's another
tournament. They make it to some sort of prize final and lose.
And exactly, a less than stellar finish, dude. Let's put 5 minutes on the board, and dude, go.
I mean, I would like to kick it off first by the Cup final. Kenya stunning Fiji 30-7.
Hell fucking yeah, man! Africa Rugby.
Blown. And it's not like it was like a 24-23 win.
No.
30-7's a pretty dominant win.
Blew the shit out of Fiji. Like, that was legit. First ever tournament win for Kenya. And this isn't like Kenya is some schmuck team. Like, Kenya's been good for a while.
It's been pretty good for a while.
They've been good. They just, for some reason, haven't been able to get over the hump. But god damn it, they finally did.
You really haven't heard of Kenya in this series at all, really. This is coming up out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, and they're just coming up and taking it.
Right. And look, sometimes it's better late than never. You gotta sometimes just get it when you can. But
yeah, and something else was pretty cool. The president of the country came out. He was on Facebook and Twitter giving the team a shout out too for the big win. So I thought that was really cool. But to transition to USA, starting off with pool play, they took a win 36-14, lost to France 19-17, a loss to New Zealand 19-12. Moving on to the quarterfinals, they beat Russia 24-5. Semifinals, they beat Portugal 26-0, and then in the bowl final, lost to Scotland 14-10. My dog Nate Emner from the Patriots, he got 2 tries, so it was good to see him in the lineup again. But once again, at another tournament, another time they make it to some sort of final, and they just shit the bed and don't come home with anything. I think it comes to that thing again, even with Ebner back too. And we say this every time they lose, they have no depth. They're not getting the depth. They have a stellar starting 7. But they just don't have the leg. Like, the skill set between the starters and the backups, you can tell there's a gap because they're not closing the fucking gap because they're not winning these games because everyone's dead. A sevens tournament kills you.
Right. I mean, look, Nate Ebner said in an article, he was like, dude, I am not cardio ready for sevens, and you can see it. Honestly, even though he scored twice, the scores were kind of I mean, they were completions, but they were 10-meter scores off of a great runs by, I think, Zach Test, and then another one was by Iosefo. getting it in. Like he's been serviceable.
Yeah, I mean, I will say his tries, he was just in the right place at the right time.
Right, it was great support, so give him
Yeah.
credit. But like I said, he admits, it's exhausting, and you make your point exactly. I think another problem they have lacking Carlin Isles, man. I think we sometimes overcredit Carlin Isles with wins and undercredit him whenever the losses are there, because he changes defenses. Like defenses completely shift over. Perry Baker has been complete beast mode these entire series, but I don't think the defenses are reacting to him the same way that they do with Carlin.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I think they're kind of overemphasizing Carlin Isles when he's in because I mean they're both Carlin Isles, and which is kind of cool because now that's leaving Perry Baker completely wide. I mean I don't want to say wide open, but just so much not as focused on as Carlin Isles, leaving him open to do these beast runs. I think I forget the one run he had. You going through three guys taking off down the field. No one can touch the man.
Yeah, man. Once he gets going, he's gone. Like
I would actually love to see him and Carlin Isles race side by side, do like a 40-yard dash.
I think they did. I think Carlin Isles edged him out by a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's just a little bit. I think it's like one of those where it's like Carlin Isles runs the 4-2 and then Perry Baker runs like a 4-3, like a 4-2-9, 4-3 something.
Yeah.
Like it's tenths of a second.
Like step. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, which has been pretty cool for Perry Baker because the defense want to focus on Isles. That's just opened him up to go and just get off this whole series. I mean, I think he's been not outperforming Isles, but he's been doing he's been doing a little better.
He's having his breakout season. I think the problem comes is just we're trying to still figure out that supporting cast. Like we know Barrett, we know what Barrett does. Barrett is a tank. Barrett will crash through you. We know what Tess does. He's always going to be your serviceable handler. He's going to get the ball where you need to. He's going to be your most experienced player. He's going to do it. He's no longer the game changer that he used to be. But he's going to still do what he has to do. And
you need that guy who's going to distribute the ball out.
Exactly, and which is he has his purpose. Iosefo is always you're solid whenever it comes to your defense. He's there. He's I don't know if he's starter, but he does. He outplays his part. Then you get Unufe, who is always like that. He's the what's the best way of saying it? He's the baritone in your symphony. Like he's not gonna change your game, but he is there to do stuff. I think after that you kind of get worried. You're like, all right, what about Hughes, Osberger, Blair, Garrett Bender? Like now you have Nate Ebner, and I think it's kind of flexing through those guys because, like you said, your depth becomes everything. I think your starting seven is pretty well set. And I assume this is everything setting up for the Olympics. You have Baker, Tess. Like, if it was me, this is what my starting seven would be. It'd be Baker, Tess, Barrett, Iosefa, Unufe, Nua, and then Isles. Obviously, Isles and Baker seem to switch off. So if you're going to put in anybody, then you put in Bender. But I really feel like Isles needs to be there. And then... but he can't play scrum half, unfortunately. So you have to have Hughes or Blair as your additional piece. But then after that, we're still not sure about who's the depth. Who are the guys that come in whenever for the second game. Like I said, it's still iffy between Blair. Hughes is always going to be serviceable as the scrum half. He's a captain, so he keeps everybody together. Garrett Bender is there. Then Ebner I can't consider him as a complete viable option because he's just not there conditioning wise.
Not at all, and especially with Rio right around the corner, he's got to get there.
He's got to get there. I mean, he's still dying. You can see it even after all those scores. You're just seeing him hand over head, just dying. Like the weight of football is picking up. Like it's catching him. It is what it is. So I don't know. Like we still have two more tournaments remaining to see what they have before we start to worry about the Olympics. But
I think these next two, they should really take these next two tournaments seriously because it's the last two opportunities to see the talent that's going to be going into the Olympic sevens, and that kind of like the last two. I'm sure they'll have other scrimmages, but like the last two times to see the other talent, to face up, match up on teams that you're potentially going to see in the Olympics. and to kind of know get your game plan set up. Like, all right, we played Australia in this tournament, this tournament, this tournament. They showed us this. They had these guys set up here. Who can we match up to get a defensive match or an offensive mismatch for us?
Right. I mean, it is because if you don't you're gonna still get hit by that same disappointing, slightly, all the talent, and then just failing when it counts most.
Yeah, these next two turns are going to be big for the Eagles for sure.
And I think it's going to be huge. They have to beat New Zealand. They have to beat South Africa in second day format. If they can't do that, it's going to be very difficult to be able to prove what you can do for the days after for the major point. All right, let's head on. Let's move on to Langford Sevens, USA Women's Sevens. A less than stellar win. A less than stellar finish. Their seventh overall.
Not finest moment.
Right. I mean, seventh overall. They lost twice to Spain, which is freaking ridiculous in my opinion. They at least defeated Russia for the bowl. They in this one, England defeated New Zealand. Dude, so let's put 5 minutes on the board. All right, man, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, just doing a quick run through. It's not their best performance. I mean, they came out strong out of Atlanta Sevens and kind of headed into Langford. They dropped off significantly. They walked out with 8 points. But to run through it quick, starting off with pool play, lost to Spain 10-7, beat Fiji 24-12, lost to New Zealand 19-7, heading into the quarterfinals, lost to England 29-7, then lost to Spain and played semis 14-12. And then they beat. I mean, I'll hand it to them. The OT game was pretty good, beating Russia 15-10. So it was a nice way. But I mean, you won seventh place. I mean, it's not that great. I mean, somewhat of a high note heading out, but like I said, they need to really pick it up. I don't know if it's still kind of growing pains with the whole coaching change, but I didn't see that at all in Atlanta 7. So I don't know if it was like that quick turnaround from Atlanta going straight up to Canada, but definitely not their finest moment.
I think a lot of it might be a little bit of a leadership thing. I mean, in this one, you didn't have Potter, you didn't have Griffin, but you had the Vix Lion back in the lineup, which was awesome, coming off of back surgery, and she performed. But I think it's interesting. This one was a little bit of a mixture, a lot more newer players. I think one player that we are really needing to watch and is going to grow is Bara Valala, chick out of Hawaii. I feel like she's Kristen Thomas part 2. Just an absolute beast. But I think it's them getting into the leadership. Stacey Haverland, this is having her second series overall. I think this was it was growing pains, but I thought there was a lot of shuffling that was happening where you were putting a lot of people that had never been in official leadership positions. Barry Valala had her first chance as being a captain for this series, and that's a big deal. So I didn't like the finish. I thought it was ridiculous that they lost to Spain. No offense to Spain, they're a decent team, but the U.S. should have been able to beat them in that first game where they lost, coming off of a line out to let them crash through in for the score was ridiculous. And I thought that would have at least been a mistake, but then to lose to Spain again in the quarterfinals, in the semifinals was unthought of. I would not have imagined that in a million years. It would have been like me seeing Japan defeating England for a moment. Like that, I would not expect that. Not at this point. So I'm hoping that the USA gets it together because I don't think they have. I think they have one more tournament left, and then they don't have any more until the Olympics. So
yeah, I mean, it kind of goes off the same with the men. I mean, except theirs is kind of a little more crunch time. They have one last term to get everything together and scout the competition, but they need to perform way better than they did this time if they want any, not only in the next tournament, but just Rio in general. If you're not competing in these tournaments or like at least finishing top 5, you're not going to have a shot in Rio.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, I think they have I think they have the talent. Honestly, okay. So again, I put together what at least my starting 7 and 2 of my backups would be for this team. I think I just did my starting 7 for the women's team, but I'm expecting to see Victoria Forlion, Kristen Thomas, Bara Valala, Jessica Javale, Kelter, Stacey Haverland, and Jillian Potter is getting in your starting 7. going into as this series starts to finish. I think those are your top talents. I think after that, Griffin will be in there. God, Doyle will be in there. And then I'm not really sure who's going to finish out. I don't know if they're going to go with the young ones like Nia Tapper to bring in, but she's really raw and we haven't seen her essentially in 2 tournaments. Are we going to be seeing a little bit more from some of the, I guess, just there's still a lot of players that are still in the wash for me. But I think for Lyon, Thomas, Baravalala, Javale, Kelter, Haverland, and Potter are easily your top 7. Definitely. Easily, without a doubt. I think that's a great mixture of speed, athleticism, veteran, and power that's going on there. And then, we'll see what happens. But hopefully Richie Walker's getting them together, getting it more in check, and keeping it tight as they go through. But they got to do better than this.
No, I definitely agree. And that's starting 7 solid. I think if they can develop that squad, and I feel like they lack where the men's team lacks too is just the depth.
It's depth.
If they can develop their depth and kind of like I said, get that gap where your starting 7's up here and your backups are down here, close that gap. I think we're gonna see some better rugby.
Agreed. All right, man, dude. Let us move on to the one of the hour, the one that everybody was talking about, the one that people were just getting hyped, so much controversy, so many issues, so much BS, so much goodwill and badwill. It is the Pro Rugby North America finally fucking kicked off this weekend. It was first disappointing, and then it got way high. Denver at home taking on Ohio, Sacramento hosting San Francisco. 5 minutes on the board. I'm a little excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, same. Kicking it off, dude. It came to life. It was no shit, nothing. It just finally happened. The games are starting to kick off. And honestly, I didn't have the opportunity to watch the full games, but from what I went back and kind of skimming through the games, it was some pretty quality rugby going on, and I was really excited, like the high caliber play that was playing. Happy to see some internationals. I felt there was a pretty good amount of internationals, so I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I mean, every team's got to recruit them. I mean, unless they're citizens, unless they're citizenized, but hey, go for it. But Denver beating Ohio 16-13, Sacramento taking the victory 37-25. Great caliber rugby, great games, and I'm just happy that there's finally professional caliber rugby in America.
Well, you know what? I'll
we
agree
can
with
say that there's
we can say there's professional rugby in America, and it started. But I will say when I'm watching the games, I thought watching that game because I couldn't watch both. I only watched highlights from somebody's cell phone of the Denver versus Ohio game, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But with the Sacramento San Francisco game, I thought it was a solid game. I really felt like the one thing that the Pro Rugby League needed to make sure that they did was it wasn't going to be about what was the quality of the play on the field, because I assumed there was going to be a pretty decent. You're taking a lot of the best guys from here in the States and a few foreigners from overseas, and you're putting them on a team. Even if it took 2 weeks, you're going to expect a certain level. Like I expected at least PRP, ARP level, maybe slightly below national level rugby, and it's what I got. But what I wanted to make sure we saw was that it provided the feel of a pro game. Like, whenever the broadcast happened, it needed to feel like a pro broadcast. I needed to see the close-ups. I needed to see the players. I wanted to feel like I was watching football, but I was watching it in a rugby aspect. And for what it's worth, I think we got it. I think Dan Powers and Lou Stanfield did an excellent job. They did an excellent job in their broadcast. Dan Powers is always already known, part of the rugby commentators, him and Dallin Stanford. They've already been working along with the USA team. So Dan Powers doing the pro games, I thought was excellent. Lou Stanfield, coming a national player, doing it. I loved it. I hope they don't simply limit it to those guys, but I know there's a very few amount of rugby commentators around the USA, like myself. And so, I thought that they did an excellent job. Very professional, very on point. And I thought with the Denver, Ohio game, I thought it was completely ridiculous that we didn't see it. I don't give a fuck about the excuses. You get that shit done early. But that being said, everybody gets one mistake. I personally know the difficulties that come with starting something from scratch, and you know what? There's always a folly. One way or another, the game happened. I looked at the highlights. I wasn't really impressed with the Denver, Ohio game as much as I was with the Sacramento, San Francisco game. But looking at the highlights from the Denver, Ohio game, honestly, I think Ohio was supposed to win that. But they fumbled. They knocked on like every try. There was like 4 tries that they knocked on. The top one was probably the most annoying. Was almost Deshaun Jackson style fuck up where Sean Davies was going in for the score, had the wide open score, goes in for the dive, and is like 3 yards short of the actual try line, and then on top of that knocks it on. So there was one score off. And then you had another one that was on the other side. They had another chance for it, got knocked on. And then they tried to do a kick and pick up, and they had the ball in their hand, and then got knocked on while they were in the air. And I'm like...
Hillbillies, amateurs.
Yeah, that was some amateur shit. That one I did not like because I think that ruined the game. So partially kind of happy that game wasn't shown, but I will say that, probably because it was in Denver, it was cold, and because, weirdly it's spring and Denver still has snow as hell.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, that kind of messed things up. But the other thing I got to give credit for, dude, overall there was about 6,000 people that attended the games together, and I think that's a big deal. I think it was 3,000 for the Sacramento, San Francisco, 2,300 for the...
That's solid. I mean, for just starting out, that's solid.
That's solid. It'll keep going up. It was a light promotional. And we'll see what it goes from there.
That's exciting to see. That's really exciting to see.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I really liked about this was we got our first villain of USA Pro Rugby. And look, people would be like, oh, no, you shouldn't be praising that. But honestly, this is how storylines are born. You want to know why people are so dynamically interesting and elite? Because they are villains. As long as a guy is good, let him be the villain. He fucked up big time trying to eye gouge and punch. Forgot that people are now watching him. But that being said, you have now marked yourself as the infamous Nicholas Grass. So now I can be like, oh man, watch out for Nicholas Grass. He's going to sock you in your eye and try and take you out.
During the game.
Say what?
Said wear some goggles during the game.
Right? Wear some goggles during the game because it's going to get dirty. So you have your first dirty player, but he did get suspended, so... he's going to take it. They're probably going to fine him. First, it was the team that suspended him, and I guess the league will do their thing. They'll probably maybe take some money, which would definitely suck for them.
You're not getting paid that much either.
Right, you're getting paid jack shit. So, well, we'll see what happens. But I thought it was a solid opening.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Anything more to add on that?
Nope, I'm good.
Sweet. All right, man, dude. Final thoughts.
Oh, shit. Just so much stuff to do. So much. The semester ends next week, and I have like 10 things I'm just juggling around right now, so I'm tired. How about yourself?
Man, I'm the same. I don't have a semester ending, but luckily the season's coming to a close. I'm starting to wear down. The broadcast, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it, but the broadcast, the traveling, the organizing, the planning, it's starting to catch on me, trying to catch up on articles, trying to set up the next new thing. We got a rugby camp coming up over the summer that I'm still setting up for. We got a broadcast, hopefully, it's going to come at the end of June. So, I finally got a chance to say it because I couldn't say it during my broadcast because, oh my God, let's just say one thing. As we start to broadcast and produce more games, maybe not necessarily just GIftTime Rugby, but everybody else, I'm going to need refs to know this. We need our solid 10 minutes. There cannot be any, when the teams feel ready, we're going to start again. Fuck the teams, all right? At this point, we're creating a product here. And when we need to have a commercial break, we need a commercial. There is no time else to do it. So we got a solid 10, at best, maybe 15 minutes that we need to have so we can push everything through and get things done. Because I don't want 3-4 minutes and then all of a sudden the game's already ready to start again, but I'm setting up for other people to pay for this. No. We're not doing that crap. I don't care if the team feel ready. Let them sit and wait. All right, because in the end, this is going to be more important for their growth than you being like, oh, let's just get the game done. We just got to do it. No, it means everything. So aside from that little tidbit, it was good. I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to do Louisiana High School Rugby Championships in 2 weeks. And got a bunch of Atlanta Sevens videos to still edit and get done over the course of this week. So, man, we got our work cut out. Got the work cut out, man. But, dude, it's been another great episode. It's weird. It's been so long since it was just the two of us, man. We got more.
I know. It's people just cramping our style.
I know, right? But I got to love it. I mean, the people are fucking awesome. We're going to have more people coming on, man. Good. So, dude. But if you guys have anything, you guys know where to find us at GIftTime Rugby, at Flynn56. Hashtag, dude, what was your thoughts on PRO Rugby? I want to hear what it was. Other than that, this is GIftTime Ebelu. This is Rugby Sense.
No nonsense.
And we are out.